Hi guys, welcome to my channel, me Chrissy. Today we're doing a nice little winter scene. I'm just starting off on an A4 primed canvas. I'm just using a stiff bristle brush just to get the background in. And the mixture I'm using is a violet colour or dioxazine purple with some ultramarine blue. This is a quite rough lay down, but it's the material for what we're going to paint over it, so it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just smoothing any high spots out that's left on by the impasto-ish paint that you apply with the thick bristle brush. So I've drawn my image on that I'm doing today. Like I say, it's a little cottage at winter time. I'm just going in with my angle brush here. I'm just using some phthalo blue and a tiny little bit of white mixed with some dioxazine purple. These are going to be some shadow back trees, but as you see as the video progresses, I will be knocking these back. What I mean by that, I'll be making them look like they're more in the distance, so I'll be using a few multiple glazes, but that will happen once this is dried. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you do, please give us a thumbs up, and any questions, just leave in the comments section and I'll get back to you. I always appreciate it, and I love reading all your comments. It's really nice. So thanks for that, guys. And also you can subscribe if you're not subscribed. It's free, no charge. You just get a little notification telling you when I've uploaded or if I go live. So here I'm still in the blues. I've just added a bit of more darker shadow on top of the cabin roof by just using a neat phthalo blue. I haven't added any white into that, so I'm still using the blues and the dioxazine purple and titanium white, as you can see. So I want some shadows laid in this. So for snow, you can't just paint, well, you can just paint it pure white, but you won't get any depth into your artwork. So it's easy if you can do it in thin layers and build it up and identify where your shadow areas are and where the highlights are going to be. And you'll see a great improvement in your work. So here I'm just going in with another violetty colour, still in the same blues and violets. I'm just adding a bit more violet there and a bit more bluey tones here and there. This is where I'm distinguishing, like I said before, where my shadows are going to be. I'm soft blending these out. I am quite using a tiny bit of glazing medium, but not too much, just to get the paint to flow nice and smooth. And on this side, I'm going to build it up a little bit, and I want some trees just silhouetting into the image, just so it draws your eye into the actual painting itself, which is the cabin, obviously. And don't worry about your chalk marks. I always rub off quite easily when all the painting's dry. Just get a wet paper towel, well, a damp paper towel, and just wipe them away, yeah? They're quite easy to get off. So now I'm just using a browny orange. So I've mixed some orange with some purple just to get that dark colour there. And as you can see, I've still got a bit of orange on my brush, and I'm just highlighting it a bit more where the windows and doors are going to be. So it's like a rusty browny orange. So this tree here, I'm highlighting it with some titanium white and some more phthalo blue, but more white this time. So I want it to stand out a little bit more, but like I said, further on in the video, I do glaze them back and you'll be able to see how I do that, and I'll explain that also. So now I've just changed my filbert brush because this just gives a bit more detail than the actual angle brush, and I find it just better to do these type of pine trees with. But any brush you're comfortable with is fine. So as you can see here, I'm giving the illusion of depth into these trees, like there's a multiple layer of trees at the back, like a deep forest. So that's what I'm trying to build up at the moment. I'm just letting everything else dry off. So I'm concentrating over here. So I've gone with less white now on some of these trees because I don't want them to be too far forward into the picture. I've gone with more of a purple tone on some, more of a blue tone on the other. So that's preference, you know what I mean? You can alternate your colour scheme quite easily. Same here, I'm doing the same as I did on the background trees. Like I said, I want it just to like a little bit of a silhouette framing in the picture. And if you really like art and you want to share your art, I also have a Facebook group you can join. That link for that will be in the description below, with other links to my website and Instagram and my Twitter page if you like social media. You can also join the Facebook group quite easily. Just answer a few questions and you're in. Yeah, really good group. We're very proactive in there. We give lots of help, tips, advice. It's a nice little group. So I'm just letting them back trees dry off, and the trees are done in the foreground. So I'm coming back to the cabin. So I'm still using the phthalo blue and the purple just to get them shadows in on the roof there. And now I've just gone with more white for the highlighted snow. But as you can see, it's only a thin layer, so you can actually see the shadows underneath. But I do like to work in thin layers, as some of you know if you follow me here on YouTube. I do a lot of glazing and building up the picture that way. Well, this would be nice also with a palette knife or texture, or if you just wanted to do it a nice loose impressionistic style like this is. But you could do this with like stiff bristle brushes and any type of brush you like. It's just a fun little scene to do. So they've dried off now, so I'm going back with a brighter white here for the snow. So I've just added a little more titanium white. Still in the purples and blue tones, so I haven't gone bright too soon yet because obviously my highlights won't show up. And any darks, like you can see here, I'm going back in and just creating a bit more dark shadows, because you do lose it when you're doing multiple layers. So just remember to go back in and keep your dark bits on your trees. I'm still using that little soft fill because I think it creates really nice texture for trees also. Now I've left this in because I did like the tree on the right hand side, so I've darkened it slightly. So I've rubbed the top of it out and put a darker shadow of purple. So I'll let that dry and then I'll come back to that, because obviously it wasn't showing up how I wanted it to do. Now here I'm just using the same colour on the cabin that I did on the windows. I've just lightened it a little bit more with a bit of red and orange. Just to get them lines, them impressionistic lines on the cabin for the wood texture. Now here you can see I'm glazing, so I'm covering the whole of the back of the painting with a thin glaze, with glazing medium and a tiny bit of phthalo blue. Now I've let that dry and I'm coming into the foreground with some brighter white to indicate the sunlight shining through into the actual picture. But when you're doing multiple glazes, just make sure you let each layer dry before you go back in, because you can disturb what you've already laid down. Now I'm doing the snow on the roof, so I'm looking where the actual light source is coming from. So obviously I want the darks and the lights to coincide with the rest of the painting. I'm just lightening into here again with just a bit of a brighter reddy orange colour. I'll just reshape that door because I didn't like the actual window that was in the other side. So you can change your mind. Nothing's set in stone. Just let it dry like I've done and paint over it. With some darker shadows under the eaves. And then I'm coming back into the trees and I'm putting a darker green now. So I've just gone into more of a greeny tone. Just to give a bit of that pine tree feel, instead of it all just being blues and purples. Not so much on the back, but this one in the foreground, because they are evergreens obviously. But it was good just to build them up in the blues and purple tones, and then just do a layer like I'm doing with the different green, yeah? So I'm going back in now, some phthalo blue. Can you see how I'm just glazing over all that white again, and then building up another layer. So I wanted them shadows to be showing through, and it just wasn't quite working how I wanted it to do. So I just let it dry and I'm glazing it again. Just with a tiny bit of titanium white and phthalo blue. Now I can introduce the shadows in again. And same here in the foreground, just a nice thin layer of glazing. So hardly any pigment on your brush, it's more glazing medium. Now the cabin's dry, so I'm coming back in with a brighter white now to indicate the snow on the roof. Obviously the actual side of the house is in shadow, so you don't want that too bright. I'm just going in with a brighter orange now, and then I dulled it back because I thought, no, that's too bright. So I've gone in with a bit of blue just to dull that back a bit more. So I thought I wanted to see what it'd look like with like brighter lights inside the window. Anyway, I didn't like it, so I scrubbed it out, which you can do. And now I'm going in with more textured feel, using that filbert brush, just to give that build-up of snow in front of the cabin and on some of the ground here in the middle of the painting. So I haven't smoothed out as much, and I'm just going in with like a loose brush stroke to give that texture feel. Another layer on the trees here. And every layer I do, I'll just go a bit lighter and lighter till I get the feel that I'm looking for, or the look I'm looking for. So just trial and error. You've got to experiment and practice and do little studies on, you can even do it on paper or cardboard. Just practicing doing snow on trees. It's a good exercise. And the same again, another thin glaze on top of that roof with a bit of a lighter blue. I've gone in with a bit more yellow here. I thought, well, the yellow would look quite nice actually. And I did quite like the feel of this, doing the texture on the wood. I just used a tiny bit of Naples yellow and white. Nothing cadmium because that was too bright. Naples yellow is just a nice colour. So I don't want to do too much detail because it's not actually in the foreground, the actual cabin. So I just wanted, you know, a little bit of texture showing through. Then I've glazed it over with that orangey brown. I'll let it dry and then give it a glaze over the front of the cabin. Same here, back with the angle brush. I'm just getting these tones just how I wanted them. I thought that's too bright or that's too dark. So I'm just playing around and going back in till I'm satisfied. But remember to let it all dry before you know, don't fiddle around too much while it's wet. Move around the painting, then come back to it. So I'm quite happy with that now. I think that looks pretty cool. So I'm going in again with a brighter white on the actual snow where the light's coming in. Same on the roof. I'm just putting a bit of light shadow here and there on the front of the doors. I've just had a little fence because I thought it looked cute, but you don't have to do, but I thought it looked quite quaint. And there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give us a thumbs up. On screen now are 2 videos you may like to watch, and if you're not already subscribed, click on my face and be sure to click the icon bell to get a notification. As always, thanks for watching and create something wonderful. See you all soon on my next video.